Hey folks, welcome back to Dan's Home Projects. Today we're going to be hooking up some solar to the Woodshop. Here we got a 1000 watt pure sine wave inverter. We have our Victron 100 volt 30 amp MPPT charge controller. Our wires for the solar panels. I got a little watt meter here to see how much we're feeding in, but Victron does all that, so this was just to hook it up and see what was going on. Got another charge controller that came with the panels, but we're not going to use that. That's a pulse width modulated. I like the MPPT, maximum power point tracking. I got 3 lead acid batteries, not the best. Eventually I'm gonna upgrade the system, and we got 2 100 watt solar panels. Now in the future I want to upgrade to like a 2000, maybe a 3000 24 volt pure sine wave inverter. Get a couple of lithium iron phosphate batteries and go from there. But this is what I got, so this is what we're going to hook up. Here I have 2 gauge wire and some eyelets that I need to crimp on. And those are going to connect to the batteries, and the batteries to the inverter. Also have in here, let me open this up, I have some spare MC4 connectors and disconnect tool and tightening tool and some crimpers for that. I don't think we're going to need them, but we got them. I have all the batteries set up the way that they're going to be in the Woodshop. I got all the terminal connections on, so now it's time to put the connectors on the end of the wires, make them the proper length, and hook it all up. First, I'm going to strip the end of the wire, get a little measurement here. I don't want to cut into my good wire, so I'm just going to get a utility knife here. Now I'm going to cut that the rest of the way. Just like that. So we're not cutting into any of these wires. They're real thin, so. Alright, now make sure all the wires are in there. See how some's hanging out there? I want to make sure they're all in there. Got a stubborn one. Alright, there it is. Now we get out the crimpers, put it on the correct setting, and crimp it down. Alright, now we got it in the crimpers. Push the wire, make sure it's completely seated in there, and then crimp it. Do a nice tug test, make sure you got them crimped in there real good, and you're good to go. Now we put the heat shrink on, and we shrink it on. Let me get my heater. Well, my little torch ain't working so well. Not supposed to look like that. And then I had a fire coming on over here. Yeah, maybe it'll work. We'll see. I'll try to use it. It's working. Wasn't a second ago. Alright, it did the job. If you'll notice, we got the resin, that little sealant coming out of that heat shrink. So that's nice and sealed. I'm going to do that for all of them. There's the positive side. I'll do the connection to the inverter once I get the inverter in place in the woodshop. Now I'm going to do the negative side. Alright, now that's the negative side. Time to take all the batteries and the inverter and everything and try to decide where we're going to put it all, and then we'll make those other connections. There's the woodshop. An 18 by 8 foot trailer. Now I've already done wiring in here and put lights and everything, and we usually run an extension cord. But now, on this bottom shelf is where I want to put the batteries, and then I'll hook the power into that box down there. And of course, run the solar panels up on top somewhere. So let's go get the batteries. Alright, we got all our other stuff in here now. Some tools. I think we're going to put the inverter right here. Right under here somewhere. We'll see. I decided to move the batteries over and put the inverter and charge controller right there. Now it's time to wire up the solar panels. Well, I'll get these cables done first. I'll make them up and terminate those. Before I do that, I'm going to install this breaker. That's going to go in between the batteries and the inverter. I got all the connections made. I put in the 100 amp breaker there. My negative wire goes all the way to the negative side here, and the positive wire comes off here. You typically want these to be about the same size. You want all your battery cables the same size. This negative cable works out to be about the same length as that going routed the way it is. So it's close. It's not perfect, but that's it. So now we're going to wire up the charge controller here to the batteries, and then we're going to see what to do about the solar panels. Before I go doing the solar panel stuff, I got this 12 gauge whip here, and I got a cord end. I'm just going to put a male end on this side, and there'll be a male end on this side. That way I can bring power from my inverter to the woodshop here. Now if you're going to do the same thing, remember, don't ever have power on it while it's hot, while it's plugged in to either side. One side, that's the load, that's fine, but if you got it plugged into power, then the other end's going to be hot and it'll shock you. So I'm going to get on that. There's my little jumper cord with the two male ends. Male in, male in. And I'm just going to plug that into that outlet right there. Plug the other end into the inverter, and that should power the woodshop. Alright, got it all plugged in. Let's kick the breaker on. Turn the power on. Seems well. Let's turn on some lights. There it is. Got lights. Very nice. I got the solar panels, and I got this little deal right here. you just put you some sealant around here, all around the edge, and then there's some little starter holes for screws. And they make it to put at the top of your RV. I think I'm going to put mine on the side of it and just caulk it real good, and then go right to that charge controller. I think that's the plan. I'm going to figure that out. I still haven't come up with anything for the rack, but yeah, obviously I want it on top of the wood shop there. So I'll probably just do a wood frame or something. I don't know, but I'm just going to slap them up there for today. So it shows to come out just under. This is the drill bit. It chose to come out just under the charge controller. You see where I drilled right through there. So those wires from the PV panels will come right in there. I'm going to get me a bushing, so that little rubber bushing that goes on that metal that I drilled through, so that there's no chafing or anything on the wires. Just going to ream the hole a little bit. And I put that bushing in there, little grommet. There you go. Now that'll protect the wires. Then I'll push my wires through. Just going to temporarily get these up there now. I didn't show you, but I had these already wired in parallel, so they were kind of stuck together already. I could have just unplugged them and did this one at a time, but I figured I'd just do that for now. Here's the 10 gauge wire with the MC4 connectors on there. Just going to go ahead and connect those to that. Run them through. Well, actually, I'm going to have to run them through the that connector first. Let me get that cover. So here's the little cover that's going to go on the side. So I got to run the wires through those first. Just going to stick negative and positive through here. Pretty nice. These came with the ferrules at the end. I like that. So now that I got these through here, I'm just going to go ahead and hook up the MC4 connectors to the solar panels. Did I say I was going to hook them to the solar panels? No, I'm not doing that yet. I'm going to stick these, I'm going to run these through, and I'll hook them up to the charge controller first. And I'm going to hook the charge controller up to the battery. There we go. Now we're in. Let's go to the other side. There we are. There's our wires. I'm going to hook all that up now. I just hooked up the negative and positive coming from the solar panels to be PV negative and plus positive. Now I have this that'll connect the battery to the charge controller, and this end didn't come with any ferrules, so we're going to put some ferrules on it with our little kit here. So we got our charge controller wire. This is 11 gauge. I never heard of it. Only 14 and 12, but this is what it says it is. And the blue ferrules fit perfect on there. So put the blue ferrule on. get the crimpers out. Just like that. Now you have a nicely crimped ferrule. And do the same for the negative side. Then we'll go wire it up. Alright, I got the positive to the positive, negative to the negative here. I put the cable here and over here. And now we got a little life, you can see a little light blinking. Now let's go connect the PV solar panels. That's it. Let's go see what we got inside. Lights on steady. It's in bulk. Let's hook up the app and see what we got. There it is. 20 watts. Getting 18 volts from the solar panel. Charging at 1.4. Voltage 12.9. 1.6 amps. So that's what we're bringing in. 20 watts. Nice. Now there are charts online showing you different angles, different pitch. This is different roof pitches at different angles. I looked up the angle for my place. 7.2 west, 7.2 degrees, or 187.2, depending on which way you're doing it. And at an angle of 32.4. That'll be the optimal angle of the panels in my area. Oh, it also has a little angle here. That's the way your panels should be facing. That's the azimuth. I've moved my charge controller wires. I had it on the center battery. Now I got it up here on the line side of the breaker because I couldn't get it under there. The lug's too big and I don't have an eyelet that big, so I just went there. No big deal. And then I moved the negative over there instead of on the middle battery. So now should charge as equal as possible. Like I said, this is not the most optimal way to do it or the most optimal equipment. The Victron charge controller is great, but you know, there's different configurations for charging batteries and putting them out in parallel and all that. And there's a post system where you have bus bars and that you can run your equal length of wire to that. And you know, I know this is not exactly the best deal, but it's what I got. It's what I'm going with. Now I'm going to caulk this and screw it down. Probably be better if I cleaned it. That's a nice seal. So here's what I've done with the solar panels. I just took two deck boards and I put the brackets on and I screwed them to that. Now I'm going to mount them on the roof. There they are on the roof. You may ask, why did I put it on the boards first instead of just screwing it right to the roof? Well, I want these to be removable so I can take them camping or something like that. We'll see how that works out, but I'd like to be able to take this, go to another power station that I've built with the another charge controller and an inverter, and go camping, just charge some phones or something like that. So I want these panels to be mobile, so that's why. Alright, it's a couple days later and I got a new device in. I bought a remote control for the inverter. Check it out. Let's open it up. There we go. Get that glare out of there. So that'll wire up to the inverter at the front door through this cable here, and then we won't have to go and reach underneath the that countertop, because it's kind of, the button to turn that on and off, it's just kind of awkward to get in there. So we'll run that cable all the way over here, and then let me get this, and we'll mount this right here. That way we walk in, that's how we'll turn on the inverter, we'll get our lights, and all is well. As you can imagine, this is a very simple hookup. You just find the cable inlet on your inverter. Mine's right there. Had a little plug on it when it's not in use. Just plug it in there. Plug the other end into your remote, and boom, you got it. Now, in order for this to work, you got to have the inverter off over there at the inverter. Turn that off, and then you can turn it on and off here. If you got it turned on over there, then it'll override the remote and won't work. So there we go. Turn that off. Boom. Lights go out. Back on. And it shows you your battery power. Shows you your voltage coming out. Your 120 volts AC coming out. Your 12 volts in. I hate that glare. Sorry about that. But anyway, you guys get the point. There she is, all installed. All I gotta do is strap all that up. I'm not gonna bore you folks with that. And there it is. Boom. Now I just come in and turn the lights or the inverter off. With that, we're good to go. Alright, I'm just gonna put these little straps on the wires. Strap those up. I'm gonna leave a little drip loop, and then that's it. I'm also going to caulk underneath the strap where I pierced the hole. I'm gonna leave a little drip loop. Put some caulk where the hole is going to be. Boom. Bolt it down. And I'll do that up at the top. There's the finished product. Got my drip loop, strap, the caulk. Alright, so that wraps up the build. I'm sure you guys are all curious now, what will a 1000-watt inverter run? So we got a few things in here. First, I have the grinder. Runs the grinder with ease. I also have a miter saw. Let's see, has a little struggling with this here. As you can see, the lights went out, but it will power it. Now you can hear, once I started that up, you can hear the fans going on the inverter now. So that's about its limit. I know it won't run the compressor, and it will not run the table saw. Haven't tried the bandsaw though. Let's see. A little sander, easy. It'll run a sander. Let's see here. I don't know which one. Let me hook it up and I'll be right back. Alright, I hooked it up. Let's see if it does run it. A little tough, but it will run it. So I'm pretty sure to run the drill press too. Ooh. Went out on the drill press. It's doing it. But yeah, that's a little much. And we've probably wore it down from all this power. But in the future, I'm going 24 volt, going lithium iron phosphate, and more panels. So once I get all that, or when and if I get all that, I'll bring you along. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe because I got a lot more projects coming up. It's a brand new channel, so let's get it big. I'll see you folks on the next one. Thanks for watching.